Heather, what advice do you have for high school seniors when in thinking like what and where to study? Like how would you give advice to them differently than the advice they're probably getting from parents and from societal messages right now?
I would say don't assume you have to do it in 4 or 6 years. Don't assume you have to do it when you're 18 years old. I think more folks need to do gap years, whether they're you have the resources to travel or it's a year of service. So I think that would be great right now. We're going to need that in the United States at least. So think about your learning as a continuous journey, not this thing you've got to get done, because it may take you a while. Listen, I have an undergraduate degree in design. I have an MBA. My career could not have looked less clear to most people around me. But when I put it all together, it makes a lot of sense. I just took a circuitous journey to get here. I mean, this was not my end goal ever. And so let those young people find what it is they're interested in. There's sort of this belief if you don't go to university right out of high school, you're not going to go. I don't know
Right.
that that's really true anymore. I think we've pushed that on folks. Be willing to explore, be willing to make your own major. Don't worry about what you study in undergraduate. And I mean, if you're going to be in, if you know you want to be in the sciences, you probably have to have a sciences undergraduate. There are some things, but for the most part, listen internally and don't listen as much externally.
Yeah, there's great points there. One of the stats that came up in some of the research I was involved in is that about 4 out of 10 college graduates in the United States regret what they majored in. If they could go back and do it again, knowing what they know at whatever point they're in their life, they would major in something else. And I think one of the other things you brought up in your book was this evolution of like moving from from the individual siloed expert to the T-shaped individual, and then you talk about, I think, transdisciplinary
Yep.
world is what you use. Just tell us about that, because I think it relates to, like, regardless what you major in, right? It's the multidisciplinary, the transdisciplinary aspects where we're all going to have to, build more muscles, as I'll call it. But like, tell us about your concept around transdisciplinary.
Yeah, so the T-shaped thinker, if you don't know what it was an idea that came up. At least it came into my awareness in the early '90s. It might precede that, and the world in which that I saw it in was probably the context in which I was working. So the I-shaped thinker is sort of this single discipline identity. I work here, throw it over the wall to the next function in the process of making some sort of unit of value. And the T-shaped thinker was I still have a core identity, but I can work with the adjacency. So the top of the T was sort of the breadth or your ability to coordinate. Now I was working product design at the time, so it was marketing could go to engineering as well, and you could complete the product you were developed. And the idea I think now is more of an X-shaped thinker, where the individual is more of a conductor, because you're not only coordinating different disciplines and functions, you're also coordinating between technologies and humans.
Yep.
So it's a combination of sort of like, how do you look at a problem, find it and frame it in an evergreen way, and then decide how to address it, whether it's technology solutions, technology and human solutions, different disciplines. It's a different mindset, and it's very difficult to wrap your head around. But I think that's where we're headed.